Good day and welcome to our class. Today we want to talk about derivative of a function, which is differentiation. Now, derivative of a function is a topic that has been considered under the elementary differentiation. Now, we define derivative of a function as follows. So we have the definition as follows here. We say that a function f of x is said to be differentiable at point A. That is, at point S is equal to A of its domain. If the difference quotient, this thing is called different quotient, S is not equal to A. If it approaches to A, to a limit, this is the limit. If it approaches to a certain limit, which is expressed as this, as S approaches to A. So, this limit we are talking about, this thing, is called the derivative of f of s at s is equal to a, and it is denoted by this, as we have written it here. So thus we can just write it, this story now that we have said so far, we can write it as f prime of a is equal to limit of s tends to a and of the different quotients. So this is the definition of derivative of a function. So this is how we define derivative of a function. Now, if we now assume that h is equal to s minus a, just like what we said there, it is sometimes convenient to let s be equal to a plus h. That is, we let h to be equal to this s minus a. From that place, we see that s is equal to a plus h. So that this thing will not change to turn to what we have here. So this is another definition of derivative of a function. And generally, since a is any point, then we can write this thing as this. So that is, if a is any point, then we can say that the a, we can turn it to s. So this is derivative of a function at any point s. Now, this will lead us to the following theorem. So we have the theorem. The theorem says that if a function f of x, if a function is differentiable at this point, then the function must also be continuous at that point. So what do we really want to do here? We really want to show that the limit as s tends to a, f of x, is equal to f of a. So remember, this is just the definition of continuous function. Now, since f of x is differentiable at s is equal to a, then by definition of differentiation, by definition we have that f prime of a is equal to this by definition. And we have said that if a function of a is differentiable at point s is equal to at any point a. Now, we consider the following. The trick here is that we need to consider this top one here, that is f of s minus f of a will be equal to f of x minus f of a divided by x minus a, then multiply by x minus a as well. So we take the limit of both sides as s tends to a. So we put limit to both sides. So we put the limit, we have the following. So we have this. So what I've done is I've put limit to both sides, limit to this, and limit to this. Now, if you look at this, f of x is differentiable at a. That means that this one represents f prime of a. This one will become 0. That is, if you put s to be a, this will become a minus a. That is 0. So what we are saying there is that limit of f of s tends to a, f of s minus f of a is equal to this times 0 will give me 0. So this will just implies that limit of s tends to a f of s Now, this one is independent of x, so it will still be the same thing, whatever the limit is. So in that case, I can take it to both sides. Minus f of a will become f of a, and that completes the proof. So, and that is what we want to show, and this completes the proof. However, the converse of this theorem is not true. The converse is not true. So that's what you have written. However, the converse of this theorem is not true. So that is, a continuous function need not to be differentiable. Because if you are looking at the theorem, it says that a function that is differentiable at a point, it must be continuous at the point. The converse will be that a continuous function must also be differentiable. But we have said here that the converse of the theorem need not to be true. It's not true, because a function might be continuous, it might not be differentiable. If you look at example here, so for instance, if you consider f of x to be equal to, let's say, arc sin s now, at s is equal to 1. From this place now, you observe that f of 1 is 1. There is arc sin 1, which is just pi over 2. Also, if you take the limit as s tends to 1, arc sin s is still pi over 2. It will still be arc sin 1. You see that both are the same. F of 1 and the limit, they are the same. Therefore, f is continuous. To show that it is differentiable, you need to differentiate this function. So that is, you find f prime of s. And if you differentiate arc sin s, you get 1 over square root of 1 minus s squared. So if you look at this now, f of s is equal to 1. If you put s is equal to 1, you will see that we have infinity there. This is 1 minus 1. This is 1 over 0, which is infinity. Therefore, f is not differentiable. So you can see a counter example. We have shown that this function is continuous, but it's not differentiable at that point. So other question on it, we'll consider it in our subsequent examples to show that a function is continuous and is not differentiable. Now we consider the following example. We have example here. We want to show that f of s is equal to this. It's not differentiable at s is equal to 0. So solution. We first take note that by definition, this absolute value of s is simply equal to x. That is, if s is greater than 0, and it will be equal to minus s if s is less than 0, and in fact it will be equal to 0 if s is equal to 0. Now we want to find the derivative. We know that f prime of 0 will be, the definition will be f of s is not differentiable at s is equal to 0. Let's consider another example. So we have to differentiate discuss the differentiability of this function at s is equal to 2. This is a function. So the first thing is we need to write the derivative out, the formula, and that is this. So first consider the right hand definition, right hand differentiation, and the left hand. Since you have a limit there, so we are following the limit. Now this gives me s tends to 2, f of s at the right hand. So this is the, when s is greater than 0, that is the 2 plus. So here we have 5 minus s minus f of 2. F of 2 means when s is 2, what is our f of s? Now this is our f of s. S is less than or equal to 2. So we need to first know what is our f of 2. F of 2 will be 1 plus 2, which is 3. Because our f of s as s is equal to 2 is this one. Then if you put f of 2 means you should put 2 there. This is 1 plus 2, that is 3. So our answer here will be 3 divided by s minus 2. from this place, we have limit s tends to 2. So when we simplify that, we have minus s plus 2 over s plus 2. And finally, if we divide it, we are going to get minus 1 as our answer. Now we need to find the second one, which is the left-hand derivative. And that is this. Now for the left-hand derivative, f of s, that is s is less than or equal to 2. So we have 1 plus s minus f of 2. So our f of 2 is still the same thing. Our f of 2 has been found to be 3 divided by the same s minus 2. So this one gives me x minus 2 over s minus 2, and that is 1. So you now see that the right hand is not equal to the left hand derivative. Therefore, we can say that f of x is not differentiable at s is equal to 2. Suppose we find it and we find that it's differentiable, then we consider it is differentiable. Let's consider another example. So we want to discuss the continuity and differentiability of f of s at s is equal to 1. If our f of s is defined as this. Now, solution for continuity at s is equal to 1. So the first thing is we find f of 1. F of 1 will give me this when s is equal to 1. We have s cubed. So f of 1 will be 1 cube, which is 1. Also, we need to find the limit. That is, we first find right-hand limit of f of s. This is limit s tends to 1 when s is greater than 1. This is s squared. That is our f of s there. So our answer is 1 squared, which is 1. We need to find the left-hand limit of f of s. As s tends to 1, this is s tends to 1. The f of s there will now be this one. That is when s is less than 1. So this is 1 cube, which is still 1. So what we have seen here is that limit, the right hand limit is equal to the left hand limit is equal to 1, which simply means that limit of s tends to s tends to 1 of f of s is equal to 1, which is just the same thing as f of 1. So this implies that f of 1 is equal to limit of f of s as s tends to 1, and everything is equal to 1. We can now say that therefore f is continuous at s is equal to 1. So let us now check whether it is differentiable at s is equal to 1. So for differentiability at s is equal to 1, so first consider the definition. You know, this is the definition, and the definition is leading to limits. So we need to find the right-hand limit. The right-hand limit of this will be equal to the derivative. And when s is greater than 1, our f of s is equal to s squared. So in this case, our answer will be limit s tends to 1. Our f of s is s squared minus f of 1. F of 1, we have found f of 1 here to be 1. This is 1 over s minus 1. And this one becomes s minus 1, s plus 1 over s minus 1. So this cancels this. So if we put this to be 1 now, we have 1 plus 1, that is 2. Now let's find the left-hand derivative. And the formula yields this. So this is limit s tends to 1, s tends to 1, f of s, the negative, the left hand, when s is less than 1, we have f of s to be s cubed. So our f of s is now s cubed minus our f of 1 is still 1 over s minus 1. So we now need to expand this. This is difference of 2 cubed, which we can expand to as follows: s minus 1, s squared plus s plus 1 divided by s minus 1. This cancels this. So if we can now put s to be 1, we have 1 plus 1 plus 1 here, which is 3. So you now see that the right hand derivative is not equal to the left hand derivative. Therefore, we can conclude that f is not differentiable at s is equal to 1. So here we have produced a function that is continuous but not differentiable, which really shows us that the converse of the theorem we proved earlier is not true. May need not to be true, because a function might be continuous, it might not be differentiable. We have given 2 examples now to show that there are functions that are continuous that are not differentiable. So let's take the following exercises for more functions that are continuous that are not differentiable. So the following functions are continuous but not differentiable. This one is continuous. In fact, we have shown that this one is not differentiable at s is equal to 0. So, but it's continuous. This one too, they are both continuous and that differentiable. Let's consider another concept. So we have the following properties of differentiability of a function. Now you can, all this one, this is product rule, this is quotient rule. So they are what has been proved in elementary differentiation. Now let's say I want to prove this one. For example, let me take only this, then take the rest as exercise. Let me pick the second one. So the first thing is I will need to recall that f of a, f prime of a is equal to this. That is by definition. Now what we are now saying there is f prime fg prime a. This will just be limit s tends to a, the same thing, f of x. We are giving f and g together, so this is just f of s g of x minus f of a g of a, because we are giving together, divided by s minus a, because they are together and so we are writing them together. This is just an ordinary f. Now if you simplify further, don't forget that this is f of s g of s, f of a g of a. Something is missing there. This is g of x. What is missing is we need to put it there. I can put f of s g of a, then I have to put it back, plus f of s g of a. We just manipulate there, minus f of a g of a divided by s minus a. Now what we put here, now I can decide to change this thing to f of a g of s. This definitely, this one too will be f of a g of s. So anyhow we write it, you get the same proof. Now this is limit s tends to a, f of s is common, so this is f of s. Observe that if you factorize, we have g of s minus g of a divided by s minus a. Also this will be plus, let me take limit as well, limit s tends to a. You observe that g of a is common, so if you move the g of a out, it will remain f of s minus f of a divided by s minus a. Now this is just if you put s to a here, we are going to have f of a. If you look at this definition is just definition of g prime of a, plus g of a is there. I can bring it out. The limit, if you look at the definition here, this is just definition of f prime of a as required. So that is what we have shown. So we can prove the rest. However, you can take this is the proof of the third one, f prime of a. You can check it there for your own notes. You can check it. And this is the proof of the first one. So you can see. So having done this, we now move to the concept of maximum and minimum. So this is local maximum and minimum. We say that let f of x be a value function defined on R. We say that f of x attains or has a local maximum point at a belongs to R if there exists an interval about that a such that f of x is less than or equal to f of a. If you have a function such that f of x is less than or equal to f of a is a point, then we say that a is the maximum point of that. So, and this is the maximum function of the something of this f of x. And for the local minimum point, if you have the relationship like this, if f of x is greater than f of a for every point, for every a in this real number R, then we say that we have a local minimum point. So this will lead us to the following theorem, which we call local extremum theorem. So this is a theorem. We call it local extremum theorem. So this is for maximum. We also have for minimum. Let f of x be defined on closed interval a comma b, and if f of x has maximum local maximum at point c in this interval, and if f prime of c exists, then f prime of c must be 0. Now let's prove this something. Now if we choose epsilon, let's choose epsilon to be greater than a small number to be greater than 0, then we have the following inequality between this interval ab. So we must have that a will be less than, let me put c there, c minus epsilon. So this will be less than c. This will be less than c plus epsilon, and everything together will be less than this b. So what we are saying is that if you remove whatever we remove from c, this will still be less than, because it is inside. This one is less than c already. C is in between a and b, so this will be less than c. Also, c will be less than c plus epsilon because we have added something to it. Now, two cases arise. So, the first case, we consider a case whereby x, this x is less than c. And also from that place, we consider this one too. C is less than this one. Now, let's consider a case whereby s is less than c. So if you have such case, you will all agree with me that f of x minus f of c over s minus c must be greater than or equal to 0. That is if s is less than c. Now if s is less than c, we surely know that s minus c will be less than 0. Let's keep that. This will be negative. But since s has a local maximum at that point, by definition, f of s must be less than or equal to f of a, because it has a local maximum. That is the reason why we now conclude. Definitely, if this one is less than this will also be less than or equal to 0. So this will just be positive. Both, if you cancel out, negative times negative is positive. So this will just be positive. So if you now take limit of both sides, put limit as s tends to c to both sides, we have this. So if you look at this thing simply means f prime of c. So it's greater than, this one will give me 0. Let's call it equation 1. So similarly, let's consider a case whereby s is greater than c. So we are considering a case where s is less than c, or we say c is greater than s is less than c is less than x, and this one it will always be less than c plus epsilon. Now if you consider this case now, so it will just be opposite of this. Therefore f of x minus f of c over s minus c. Since now c is less than s, this thing will be less than or equal to 0. So in that case, if we take the limit of both sides, as s tends to c, we have this. So from that place, this is just definition of derivative. It's just definition. This is less than 0. So if you look at what we have there, from 1 and 2, we can say that from